what led me to consider Ibogaine was actually desperation, really. I had tried everything, and therapy, psychotherapy, a whole array of different things to try and undo the damage that the opiates have done to me as far as addiction. And I had run out of options. I was convinced that there were no options left. I felt unhelpable, and I'm sure a lot of addicts feel that way, unhelpable, And I felt that me personally, that I was so far gone, I wasn't coming back, because I tried, and it had such a stranglehold on me. And even times of success where I was clean, it was still in my head. I was dry clean. I was a dry addict, and so I never had any peace. Because I was always it was always still in my head. And during that time, I started researching alternative methods. I'd never heard of Ibogaine until 3 months ago. So I started researching alternative methods. I had pretty well lost my faith in traditional methods because they involved either a lot of pain or they involved other medications. That doesn't work. Just doesn't work. So during my research, I came across this obscure plant medicine, Ibogaine, and I started looking through this, and I was astounded at what I was reading. I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it at all. But it was desperation, last resort. I was like, I have nothing. What do I have to lose? And I started watching some videos of people, and I connected with someone that I was watching, and I said, "Geez, that sounds just like me." And I decided I was going to do it. I was going to try it. I still didn't believe it because it sounded too good to be true. But I decided I was going to make the trip and do it. I had early childhood trauma that spanned over the course of several years. And it was very severe trauma. I was from age 6 to 10. I was very young. And that trauma was very intense, and it took something from me, and it changed me as a boy. And I that's on reflection. And on reflection, I can see how I had developed this post-traumatic stress as a child, and kind of closed off myself and developed these defense mechanisms, basically to survive through those years of that ordeal. I was closed off, withdrawn, and back then, I guess there wasn't a lot of awareness in behaviors in children. But looking back, I can see how just off my behavior really was. And that translated into, early adulthood, until it translated through my whole life, really. But into early adulthood, those patterns of my behavior and closing off just became stronger and stronger and stronger, and I was more shut off, and I developed social anxieties, and I was. It was something that was definitely a pathway to destruction, and but I had repressed it so deeply. I knew what had happened, but I didn't think about it. As far as I was concerned, I just wanted it out of my head, even though I couldn't really get it out of my head. I entered into a career of law enforcement at an early age, in my early 20s, and early in the career, I started encountering situations that brought that trauma back, a flashback. And all of a sudden, all of this stuff came back. I was faced with all of this stuff I was trying to stuff down, and I just couldn't stop it from coming out. It was just coming out and coming out and coming out, and it was paralyzing me, but to the point where I just stopped functioning, you know, as a human being. I kind of turned into a robot almost. You know, that's the best way I can describe it. You know, I was cold and just shut off and did not want contact with people. And even though my job made me have contact with people, I was, you know, I was as able to relate to people, but only in a way that was on a very superficial level, I guess. You know, I smiled when I saw someone smiling, that kind of thing. You know, I knew how to respond, but I was very shut down inside. And so, over the years of my career, I had several incidents that were very difficult for me. You know, I was a part of things and witnessed things that were very traumatic. And they affected me on a fundamental level. And in that world of law enforcement, talking really isn't what you do about your feelings and emotions. And for me, who was already shut down, you know, taking on these things that I found were so incredibly damaging and shocking, I mean, literally shocking to my core, you know, it compounded that stress and developed more post-traumatic stress issues. I resigned from law enforcement before the opiate addiction really started kicking in. I couldn't function at work, and I left work, and when I did, I started drinking while I was at work. I drank, I took, you know, I had taken some time off from work for a few months, and started drinking I didn't go to therapy. The resources just weren't there, and I couldn't talk, and I was so shut down. I just didn't know how to ask for help, and I was afraid of everything, and I was just existing. And when the time came that I just couldn't function at work anymore, just prior to that, I had had an injury where I was prescribed opiates for the pain, and I started taking them, and they almost instantly, I found that they not only suppressed the pain that I was feeling in my body, but that they, you know, initially suppressed, you know, the pain I was feeling emotionally, which didn't last very long. You know, that it became a nightmare, really. It exacerbated everything. You know, all of those symptoms I was having that I thought I was suppressing were just getting worse. But I didn't see that. I was completely shut off. It completely shut me off from the world. I going outside and just going to the store was you know, crippling. Opiate, you know, they just every emotional issue that I was having was amplified by multiple times, and it created. I couldn't see it, you know. I couldn't see it, and because I was numb, but I was slowly just fading away, and you know, I just wasn't there anymore. I lost myself. You know, at one point, I didn't recognize myself anymore. For literally, I didn't know who I was anymore. I had lost my identity. It was gone. And it's a very it's a very destructive path. It's a very destructive path, and a lot of repair work needs to be done from the opiates and the damage they've caused my life. You know, I've done detox, I've done meetings and other things, and I think that's great, and it may work for some people. And you know, I'm not trying to say that they don't work, but I think that a lot of fear for people who've experienced detox, the fear of the pain and the utter desperation that brings on is enough to make you not want to do it. And you know, that was one of the things for me. I had an extreme fear of that process, and it's tricky because you know that you can stop that. You can make it stop by just taking more, right? So getting through it is in my opinion impossible to do on your own, and extremely difficult just to do through a regular detox, because you experience so much pain. And that for me was the clincher, you know, the pain and the fear and the anxiety. I just was at a point where I was so desperate and so afraid that I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. You know, you need to be able to get through it comfortably, and you need to be able to get through it confidently. I walked in, I got here, and I was full of doubt. I didn't think it was going to work. I still had this thing in my head saying, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And I got here, and I had those cravings in my head. I was uncomfortable. I was really anxious. I was welcomed here very warmly, and they started the therapy right away. And within an hour, I felt great. I was shocked at how I was alleviated of these constant nagging, and that the opiates put in your head. You know, the intrusive thoughts, you know, about taking, using. They just got plucked away and removed. And I've been comfortable since. I haven't had any symptoms of withdrawals or any symptoms of any of those depressions. No thoughts of using anything. No, it's amazing. It really is. And you know, I didn't believe it would work, and it works. It works wonderfully. It works wonderfully. You know, and anybody that's out there, you know, that has any doubt about it, there's no doubt. There is no doubts to be had, because I am sitting here right now a different person. I remember who I was. It's an amazing feeling. I'll be following up with, you know, step meetings and following plans to get myself and reconnect with my spirit again, because it does do a lot of damage to your soul and your spirit. You know, it does. The trauma is, you know, it's in me. It's a part of me, and I need to find a way. I'll never get rid of it. It'll always be a part of me, but I need to find a way to deal with it. And the way I dealt with it was just destructive. You know, I was punishing myself and destroying myself, and you know, that I have a chance to fix that now, and you know, it's a blessing. It really is. I'm very fortunate, and I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. You know, that's amazing in itself.